What's going on, everybody? It's your boys with No Days Off DFS here to bring you another NBA slate breakdown for the big 13-game NBA slate we got today. If you guys new here, you guys have not done so already, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content I'm putting out over here on the channel. It's been a grind ever since WNBA season. We grinded that out. Now we're grinding out this NBA season, and so far we haven't missed a beat. So definitely thank you guys for tuning in. And if the videos are helping you guys in any way, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. It means a lot. It definitely supports the channel, and all of it is free. Speaking of free, if you guys have not signed up yet for our Patreon, we have moved from Patreon and now we are on Dub Club. And if you guys are trying to sign up, check the links down in the description below. You can check out my channel. The link is up there, or it's going to be on my boy BK on his channel, since this is his product and I do work with him over here with the No Days Off group. Right now, if you go over to Dub Club, you can get a month for free. So you're going to get all of our content that we've been putting out for free. So definitely check that out, so you guys can go ahead and get the content if you guys have been wondering. Just wanted to see it, but you are going to get everything that I'm putting out in regards to my player props, my pools, my cores. All that will be up there on Dub Club, including everything else from all the contributors that we have: MMA, soccer, hockey, NBA, and when Euro pops back up, W Euro, all that stuff, we will have that as well on Dub Club. So definitely take advantage of it for the free month. Not too sure how long this promo is going to run, so definitely get it while you can if you guys have been wondering and have been wanting to just test out the waters and see how we do over here. We will have two different tiers for you guys to choose from. We'll have the $10 tier still, where you can get everything, our sports betting picks, our DFS stuff, the pools, the course, all that stuff. And then we'll also have a $5 tier. I believe that's going to be for our props, if you guys are wanting that right there. So definitely check that out if you guys haven't done so already and you guys have been wanting to go ahead and do that. So the link for that, all that will be down in the description, so just check that out. Don't use the Patreon link. That will be taken away, and don't look on the old videos. That won't be valid anymore. We are not on Patreon anymore, so you click that, you won't be able to get anything over there. With that being said, quick recap of yesterday. Yesterday was not a bad slate. Did pretty good. Tournament wise, 3-game slate, small slate. Happy Halloween, or belated Halloween if you want to say that. Not too bad. We had some pretty good picks, pretty good plays. Really what did it for us, and this was on the core, a low owned Paul George. Paul George was like 12% in a lot of the contests that I was in, and he was the highest scoring fantasy point producer on the slate. Really great that we had him. And then paired him up with Nurk, was pretty high on my Mitchell Robinson. Still played Mitchell Robinson, didn't too bad. And that was with, of course, all the Cleveland value that was on the slate. They were very highly owned, so everyone had that across the field. If you faded Cleveland, you did very well on the slate. That was kind of the recipe to success right there. But of course, played all those Cleveland plays, not too bad, but still was able to break bread and cash, and definitely hope we can roll it into today. Props yesterday, went 50% on props, cashed out on 5, missed out on 5, so not too bad. Couple of hooks, but bouncing back today. Already have the plays posted for today, along with my boy Joris. We already got his betting picks and stuff posted up. We'll have a core, and hopefully we'll be able to get the player pool. It's a big slate. I'm going to really try to grind through and grind that out for you guys after I finish this video, so all that stuff can be up and out for you guys, so you guys can definitely tune in, lock in, and hopefully make some money on today's slate. With that being said, with it being 13 games, we have a lot of injury news, a lot to pay attention to, definitely some value spots that we might be able to take advantage of. I'm going to try to get through this injury report for going over all the teams. And if you guys are trying to keep track of the injury reports, understand like what's going on, I would definitely suggest going to Twitter, if you guys got it, and follow Underdog. They go ahead, they post all the stuff in regards to what's going on with the news out here in the NBA. Whenever they get it, typically you'll get it posted. And right now, PJ Tucker, he's hopeful to make his Clippers debut today, so that's another player that we have that might be able to play tonight for the Clippers, which we know last night they were shorthanded, which was why I was on Paul George in that matchup. But looking at it, let's go ahead and go over things. For Portland, same old Simons, he's out for 6 weeks. For Detroit, we got to know what's going on with Jalen Duren, because if Jalen Duren is going to be out, that's going to really give us some value in Marvin Bagley or James Wiseman off the bench for Detroit. But definitely this game right here is probably going to be some pretty good fantasy goodness, considering that Portland, they're really horrible on defense. Detroit, they're so-so on defense as well, but definitely some fireworks might be had inside of this game right here. And this might just be the Scoot Henderson game that we might want to actually hop onto, and I'll break that down more when I get to it. Milwaukee taking on Toronto. Beauchamp, he's game time decision. Precious Achiuwa is doubtful to play once again, so we should see some secure minutes for Jakob Poeltl. For Washington, Daniel Gafford, he was a game time decision, but from my understanding, looks like he's trending to play. He was at shoot around, participating in shoot around, so no issues right there. For Atlanta, they had Trae Young as game time decision, but looks like he is more likely going to play today. For Indy, Halliburton and Bennett Mathurin, we need to know what's going on with these guys right here. If they're going to be out, I mean, this game, it's going to be one of those fast-paced games again, because we do know that Indy, they do like to run. But the defense that Boston has, I wasn't too high on anybody on the Pacers anyway. But if Halliburton and Mathurin, if either one of those guys miss, the boost that it's going to make to guys like TJ McConnell, Nembhard, all those guys, it's going to be kind of hard to avoid, especially on a big slate where we can get some value and be able to plug in some more studs in better spots. Over here for Boston, nothing to report for them. For the Brooklyn Nets, they're still without Claxton. Spencer Dinwiddie's already been ruled out. Cam Johnson is out as well. So we got another short-handed Brooklyn Nets on the slate today. We do need to get confirmation of the starting lineup, because if Lonnie Walker actually does start, he's played very well in the past 2 games that they played, in the minutes that he's getting, and especially with all the players that they have out, that'll be a boost for Lonnie, even though it's going to be a kind of a tougher matchup going up against the Miami Heat. But depending on if he's going to draw defensive Tyler Hero or Kyle Lowry, he might be able to actually pop off like he has been doing. And we know Lonnie, he's very athletic, and he's a pretty good fantasy point per minute player whenever he is getting the minutes. That's been a big thing for him. For Miami is some toss-ups in regards to Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love, Jimmy Butler, but all of them are expected to play. I really don't see anything wrong with that. Over here for Cleveland, they are still without Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland, Ty Jerome, Ricky Rubio, Karis LeVert. I think they were just holding them out yesterday just due to the back-to-back. So expected possible for us to have Karis LeVert back on the slate. Definitely got to pay attention to that. And over here for New York, again, they played last night. RJ Barrett popped up on the injury report later on today. I'm kind of leaning towards he might be out, since it was a midday addition to him in regards to his knee. So they might actually hold him out here. That'll be interesting, because we might get a player like quickly, might get slid into the starting lineup, or we could just probably see Josh Hart, which might not be a bad play for us to get, but that would definitely boost the usage of guys like Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle if RJ Barrett was to miss. For New Orleans Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, he's a game time decision. Definitely need to know if he's going to be in or out, because that's a big key part for the Pelicans. And then over here for my OKC Thunder, the only player that's going to be out for them is going to be Terrence Williams. Looks like we're going to finally get the other Jalen Williams is off the injury report and is expected to be back and be able to play. Over here for the Charlotte Hornets, they're going to be without Book Knight, Miles Bridges, Martin, Ntilikina, and Ish Smith. So biggest thing just for them off their bench was Book Knight, but other than that, nothing crazy over here. And then for Houston, they're still without Tari Easton, Victor Oladipo. Denver, Kankar, not like that really mattered. Jalen McDaniels, he made his return back. Jaden McDaniels, he made his return back last game. He's expected to be back and play again. And Shake Milton, he should be playing tonight as well. Over here for the Bulls, Levine, he's expected to play. For Dallas, it's a toss-up in regards to if Kyrie is going to play. But right now, well, I guess the update, Kyrie is unlikely to play. If Irving is out once again, then of course Luka, he's kind of like just shove him in. Dude's averaging 70 fantasy points a game, which is kind of crazy. But they do have him finally priced up correctly where he should be at finally. For Memphis, Utah, Aldama Clark, Ja, D Rose, all these guys are out. So maybe some more secure minutes for Marcus Smart and Zaire Williams, Desmond Bane out there going up against the Utah Jazz, who are a weak defensive team. No news for them. For Sacramento, they're going to be without De'Aaron Fox, and we already know that Davion Mitchell is going to start. And then over here for Golden State, they got Sarek back, they got Klay Thompson back. Jonathan Kuminga is a game time decision. And then for the Clippers, the trade finally went through. PJ Tucker, I know you guys just seen me read off that tweet in regards to PJ Tucker. Possible for him to be able to play tonight, depending on what goes on with the trade transaction still. But James Harden, he is not expected to play. So they got some depth back in regards to having PJ Tucker being able to take this game. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are expected to play. They are not on the injury report to miss today. So we do not have to worry about them. And then over here for the Los Angeles Lakers, their starters, they're good to go. Cam Reddish is expected to be back. Gabe Vincent is doubtful to play. Rui Hachimura has already been ruled out. Hushaifen and Vanderbilt are already ruled out. Boy, that was a lot of injury news and stuff to cover. I'm going to try to just quick hit in regards to the information for each one of these games. As you can see, I'm recording this late into the afternoon. I had some stuff to do this morning, so I was not able to actually get this out in the morning. So we're going to try to go ahead and get to this, which I kind of like it in regards to being able to get the information in regards to injury news and stuff like that. That definitely does help us. So starting out with the Milwaukee Bucks taking on Toronto Raptors. This should be a pretty defensive type game in regards to the Raptors taking on Milwaukee. Both teams, Giannis priced up 11K, Damian Lillard 9.7. If you're playing anyone from Milwaukee, it's going to be the studs and Giannis or Damian Lillard, especially if you feel like Toronto can keep this game close. Giannis, second highest price stud in regards to the fact that we got Luka sitting there at the 12.6. Don't mind taking Giannis, but Toronto has done a pretty decent job in regards to defending him throughout the years. So not a must play. Same thing for Damian Lillard, not a must take over here. Really not too interested in anybody over here for Milwaukee. This is probably going to be one of those games I can cross out. Over here on Toronto, Pascal Siakam still hasn't had that game for him, and they still haven't priced up like he's doing something in regards to the 40-50 point games that he was giving us last season. Not going to mess with him at that price. I would rather much come down to Scotty Barnes once again at that 7.8 price tag, and is just doing it all. Double double-digit scoring in all of his games, the rebounds, the assist, the playmaking. He has his hands in everything. I wouldn't mind taking a stab at him at the 7-8 price tag. Just the usage that he has had on this team since the loss of Fred VanVleet has just been tremendous. And then, of course, got to talk about Jakob Poeltl with the fact that our boy Precious Achiuwa has been out. He's seeing his minutes. They're pretty much kind of secure now. 28 minutes in that last game going up against Portland. I'd expect much the same, 28 to 30 minutes, considering that Milwaukee, they are a pretty big team. And the only other person backing him up is going to be Chris Bouchard, which we did see him come in. He played 17 minutes in that game, 15.75 fantasy points. If you feel like Bouchard can keep himself out of foul trouble, don't mind taking a stab at him. But nobody over here really is a must. Would just really stick with Scotty Barnes if I take anything, and Jakob Poeltl for the value that he's going to give us. Over here, Portland taking on Detroit. This is the game that I really do feel like we might finally be able to get the Scoot game. Scoot might finally be able to actually pop off. We've seen he kind of got it strung together a little bit in the last game. 7 assists, 11 points, fouled out still has his foul issues, but should be a fast-paced game. Should definitely be able to see him be able to take advantage of the defensive lapse of Killian Hayes. Maybe he can get Cade into foul trouble instead. I would imagine that Asar will be on Shaedon Sharpe, considering that Shaedon, he's more polished. He's quite, to me, better than what Scoot is and is expected to be right now. And honestly, we just haven't seen it from Scoot just yet. So Shaedon, he's proven, he's showing that he is technically their leader right now in regards to scoring wise and just getting his own shot. And this would be the player I would imagine that Asar, who's been a very good defender and probably the best defender in this rookie class, to guard, which will free up Scoot to be able to go out there and do what he wants to do and finally have that game. So really pretty high on Scoot as a GPP play on today's slate. And I don't think you can go wrong taking someone like Jeremy Grant if you want to take this as revenge, but that was like almost 2 years ago now for him. And then you can't go wrong with Michael Brogdon sitting here at the 5'7". We know he's going to go out there and play to the mid-20s, close to 30 minutes out there, and very consistent over his time, just like last season, at least giving us close to 30 fantasy points. I do not mind coming to Brogdon in the mid-range as a possible decent value play in what should be a decent game for both of these teams. No one off the bench really interests me for Portland. Really just gonna be those starters. Then over here for Detroit, like I said, we got to know what's going on with Jalen Duren. He's questionable for this game. Trailblazers due to an ankle injury. He didn't participate in shoot around, so normally that means that a player is going to be out. If he's going to be out, Marvin Bagley at 4K. We have seen it. Centers have popped going up against Portland. Marvin will be more than likely one of the higher owned values on today's slate, and without a question, in a really great spot, a very good fantasy point per minute producer, and I will go to that. Now, if they happen to decide to move Isaiah Stewart down to that center position instead and plug someone else in, like maybe Alex Burks or something like that, gets put into the starting lineup, I wouldn't mind taking Stewart, because either one of these guys are going to be in a smash spot going up against DeAndre Ayton in his defense or his lackluster of defense. Cade, decent spot to go ahead and go right back to him. I played pretty decent going up against my Thunder, 25 fantasy points, 7 turnovers, really kind of what did him in, but definitely a spot where I can see he can take advantage of his size out there. And Asar, he's doing it all in regards to his rebounding, a little bit of playmaking, and just locking down on the defensive side. First double-digit scoring game that he's had. Don't mind if you want to actually go back to him as well. Definitely can see a spot where he could rack up the steals and just the defense intensity that he can bring over there. I really do like the young guys over there for Detroit, but really it's Marvin Bagley. I kind of don't see how you get away from that. Going over to Indy, again, we got to get the news on Tyrese Halliburton and Bennett Mathurin. Halliburton, he's questionable for today's matchup. If he is going to be out, that is really going to propel players like TJ McConnell, who is a good fantasy point per minute producer, and Nembhard. Both of these guys, whenever they go out there, they get the minutes, they get the burn. They're actually pretty decent. And also, where is Neesmith? Neesmith as well. We know these guys, if they get the minutes, they can go out there and produce. But really, it's going to be TJ McConnell. He should slide into that starting point guard role. And even then, if he doesn't slide into the starting point guard role, he should still see about 20 to 25 minutes off the bench, backing up whoever is going to be the other whoever's going to slide in and be the starting point guard for the Pacers. So definitely some value right there. I know the matchup isn't ideal going up against Boston, but still someone is going to have to play, and minutes equal fantasy production. So at the 4K price tag, I like that over there. Other than that, everyone else on Indy, I'm not really going to mess with them, because this is going to be a tougher matchup for them going up against Boston. This is kind of just like a repeat of them going up against the Washington Wizards, where we just seen Jaylen Brown pop off in 32 minutes, drop 58.5 fantasy points. A lot of it was his scoring. Has definitely bounced back since that first game going up against New York. I don't mind going to Jaylen Brown here or Tatum. I seen Tatum. I want to say he is 26 points away from his 10,000 points. So definitely narrative to go for. He has pretty much scored 30 points in 2 out of the 3 games that they played so far. And this being pretty much the exact same matchup that he had going up against Washington. I would go ahead and take a stab at Jason Tatum here at the 10-3. definitely a higher price stud worth paying up for in a slate that he should dominate here in this position spot. And then if you want to come down, take the value on someone like Kristaps Porzingis. I don't hate him. He has a pretty decent matchup going up against Miles Turner out there. We just seen what Vooch went out there and did. Double-double, was killing it out there on the glass, was killing it in regards to his scoring. And we know that Kristaps, he can stretch the floor just like Vooch can. I don't mind him. If you're taking a stab at either one of the guards, of course, it's going to be White over Drew Holiday just for the scoring upside and everything that White brings on the defensive side as well. But either one of these guys, don't mind it. They are not must on the slate. Washington taking on Atlanta. Another should be a pretty fast-paced game. Definitely a bounce-back spot for some of these Washington players, considering that they were crap. Coming out here, we should see Kuz go back to the power forward position. Daniel Gafford, he should be starting. If he's going to be out, definitely pay attention to that news, because then we might get some foolery again with Washington and their lineup to start. But Poole, Kuzma, both of them, they're in play here in regards to what should be a softer matchup with the Trae Young and the DeJounte Murray defense, especially for Jordan Poole. If he's going to go out there and jack up crazy shots like what he did going up against Boston, I definitely don't see how he doesn't do the same thing here going up against Atlanta, who he should be able to actually have a decent game against. Same thing for Kyle Kuzma. He's going to draw that DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson defense. I don't mind it. Was actually able to go out there and put 33.75 fantasy points against a tough Boston team. So much better matchup for him here going up against Atlanta. Don't mind going to Kuzma at the 7.5 price tag, definitely, because he will give you the peripherals, unlike Poole, who is more scoring dependent. So I don't mind that. And then if you want to take a stab at Tyus Jones at the 6K price tag, I'd much rather pay down for Brogdon if I was to go there. Not really mess with anyone else over here for Boston. Oh, well, outside of that, I would probably take a chance on Koulibaly if he gets to start again, if Gafford was to be out. Over here on the Atlanta side, if Trae Young, which we already said Trae Young, he should be playing today. If Trae Young was to be out, DeJounte Murray is just prime position to pop off. At 7,300, that's really just great value for a stud that can pop off in a really great spot. I would just smash him into my lines if Trae Young was to be out. And then it's going to boost all the other guys. Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, who I would imagine would start if he was to be out. All these guys would be in smash position, smash spots. Really would need the news on Trae Young. But outside of that, if Trae was to play, Jalen Johnson is still in a really great spot. As long as he's starting, the kid is amazing out there. The defense that he brings, as long as he can keep himself out of foul trouble, he looks really great. So I don't mind going right back to Jalen Johnson at the 5.4. If you're going to give me pretty much kind of a safe floor of 25-ish, 25 to 30 fantasy points, I will take that at that 5.4 price tag. If you're like one of the last players I need to plug in, like the best position type thing or something like that, I will go ahead and take that. Don't mind that. And if you want to take a stab at Clint Capella, you can, but not a must on a slate as big as this. New Orleans Pelicans really need to know if BI is going to play. Right now, he's still listed questionable. No structural damage in his knee. If they decide to hold BI out again, Zion Williamson, I really don't see how Chet is going to be able to deal with that, or Jalen Williams, which it should be Jalen Williams dealing with Zion. Zion should be able to bully his way to the rim. He should be able to go out there and snag whatever rebounds. He should be able to go out there and get some blocks. You see, I'm putting a little emphasis on that should, because he should be able to dominate. But so far, we haven't seen the domination of Zion just yet. He is playing at least close to 30 minutes a game, giving us kind of a fantasy point per minute production while he's out there, but has not capitalized on it. That's what we're still missing from Zion. Now, I would take a stab at CJ McCollum. I don't mind him here in this position. CJ, he's more of one of those elusive guards, can definitely get off a quick three. He's going to deal with that Lou Dort defense. I don't mind CJ. He's had some pretty decent games going up against my Thunder as well. And then if you want to take a stab at Jonas Valanciunas, who should be able to also, again, should be able to bully Chet around. I can see Chet getting some decent blocks here in this game as well. But don't mind going to Jonas Valanciunas if he was like a last minute thing that you need to plug in. But if you're going with a value at center, just play Marvin Bagley. Outside of that, not really mess with anyone else. If BI was to miss, Hawkins, he got the start last game, looked very good in his start. Went out there 35 minutes, 27.75 fantasy points, really great. Don't mind going to Hawkins again here if he was to get the start. Over here for my Thunder, we're a very deep team, a lot of tricks and stuff inside the bag. No one over here is a must. SGA, definitely worth paying up for if you want to pay up there, and I'll get to that play. Outside of that, I will not mess with anybody. You could take some stabs on maybe a Jalen Williams, or you could take a stab at someone like Josh Giddey, who he can get some production, look very good towards the end of the game going up against Detroit, and maybe Chet Holmgren. But really, it's just going to be SGA, not going to mess with too much. If you end up like really low looking for someone off the bench, Isaiah Joe, Usman Dang, normal suspects that we will go to off the bench over there. Over here for the Brooklyn Nets, like we said, they are going to be without a lot of players. You got Bridges, Simmons, Cam Thomas, Dorian Finney-Smith, and possibly Lonnie Walker are going to be the starters. Out of that, Simmons has played very well to start the season. This will be a little bit of a tougher matchup going up against Bam Adebayo, but with Simmons being the starter, playing that center position, if they have him start. Now, we could see Dajay Sharp, a much bigger center, actually come in and try to guard Bam. Now, he did get himself into a little bit of foul trouble in the minutes that he did play last game, but if Sharp was to start, a good fantasy point per minute producer, as you can see, 10 minutes dropped 24 fantasy points. I don't hate going to Sharp at all if he gets the start. Really great spot. Now, outside of that, Ben Simmons, another good position spot for him. I don't mind Lonnie Walker or Dorian Finney-Smith. Either one of those guys would be decent plays on the slate if they are starting once again. And then you can take a stab at Cam Thomas at the 6'6". I kind of feel like he's kind of reaching a little bit too uncomfortable for me to play. He relies heavily on his scoring in order for him to have a good fantasy point game. And this matchup should theoretically be a tougher matchup for him here. So I might be on the fade train of Cam Thomas today. Not really too sure how I'm feeling on that one. For Miami, Bam Adebayo, I expect you to play. And I hate playing Bam, but we've attacked Brooklyn with opposing centers. I will attack them again with Bam, who should be bigger than any center that they're going to be able to roll out there for him. He should be able to dominate in this spot. I should get a shirt that says should, because I'm saying should a lot. Definitely. But Bam Adebayo, really great position spot for him to go out there. 8K price tag. Nice spot to be able to go out there and dominate, put up a double-double or something like that of the sort. Has had a pretty decent history going up against the Brooklyn Nets, even whenever they had Nicholas Claxton out there, so I don't mind that. Now, if Jimmy Butler, Bam were to miss, then of course it's going to be the Tyler Hero show, and I have no problem playing Tyler Hero at the 7.5 price tag. As you can see last game, Brooklyn, they're lackadaisy on defense and definitely could just let people stay in a game with them. And just let you get into a shootout. Cleveland taking on New York. I'm going to tell you right now, I really have no interest in anybody from this game. We just saw last night. Now, if Cleveland wants to come in here and get their get back, maybe Donovan Mitchell goes out there and pops off, but he's hitting at 9.9. I don't like that price tag. Again, really another player that relies, he has to get his scoring going, because he's not giving you too much in the assist peripheral stat category in order for him to have those big games. It's really relying on him getting those scoring, and if he can just keep it going on the defensive side in regards to racking up those steals. So I'm not too interested there. Definitely a bounce back spot for Evan Mobley, but at 8.3, really too uncomfortable. I'd rather just pay for maybe someone like Scotty Barnes or something at the position, or again, we have value at the power forward / center position. I see no need to get to Evan Mobley, Julius Randle, or anything. Jalen Brunson, I will have some interest in if RJ was to miss today. I definitely would take a stab at him. And then of course with Cleveland, if Caris LeVert is back, that's going to just drop everyone in regards to what you want to actually play from this game or team. It should be a slow pace game. Once again, I see no need to go back to this. We literally just saw the game last night. I don't know sometimes what the NBA schedules are doing, man. All right, going over for Detroit taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Of course, if you can pay up for the Joker, you pay the Joker. 12K, don't hate that, don't mind that. Triple-double upside. Going up against the Twin Towers, has done very well so far in the season. Very safe floor. I see no reason not to mess with that. I do have a lot of interest in Michael Porter Jr. Can shoot it from three, has been rebounding very well throughout the season. Only played 19 minutes against the Jazz, so I'm not going to fault him in regards to the stat line that he put up in this game. But I do expect more of a 30 to maybe I'll give you about 40 fantasy point type game that he can get right here in this position spot, knocking down the three, stroking it out there, getting his rebounds like he has been. He will be in there in the trees along with Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns. Do not mind this for Michael Porter. And then again, also Aaron Gordon, if you want to take a stab at either one of these guys, don't hate them. Jamal Murray, always in play. Not a must, but definitely can go out there and have a pretty decent game for them. So everyone for the Nuggets, mainly their starters outside of KCP, I really do have some interest in, but my favorite one is going to be Michael Porter Jr. on that side. Over here for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Karl-Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Twin Towers, you really can't go wrong with either one of those guys. And if they get themselves into foul trouble, my boy Naz Reid, he's going to come in there and he's going to swoop up those minutes in time. At 4,800, we know he's a pretty good fantasy point per minute producer whenever he's out there and he gets the minutes and burn. If you want to take a stab at Jaden McDaniel, went out there first game, played 24 minutes, gave you 21.75 fantasy points. Another player that you could take a stab at, might get him at low ownership if you land there at that small forward position. Outside of that, it's going to just be the usual suspects. If you want to pay up for Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, either one of those guys are in play that you could possibly go to. But Rudy Gobert, this is really just interesting that he's been pretty consistent and the price is just staying right mid right there because I'm pretty sure no one is playing him. I wouldn't mind taking a stab at him. This will probably be the game he gets himself into foul trouble. So be wary if you actually do play Rudy. Chicago taking on Houston. I'm going to just go ahead and cover both games. Both sides, great right there in play. The best player from this game is going to be Şengün. Center's going up against the Hornets. We are attacking that all season. They are literally just bleeding points. Mark Williams is a great player, but he is being lax on defense. Same thing for Nick Richardson when he comes in. And honestly, the Hornets are just playing just whatever. There's no emphasis out there whenever they're playing. It just looks piss poor, fouling a lot, all those sorts of things. The franchise is in shambles. They got to figure it out. But Şengün, my favorite play from this game. Favorite, as you can see, cover photo for the day. Probably going to be one of my favorite plays of today's slate. I'm definitely going to try to figure out how to fit him into my line. Of course, I do see some value that we can target and attack on the slate so far. But yes, Şengün, do love him here in this position spot. Should be able to have his way and have a game going up against the opposing bigs for the Hornets. And considering that he has technically triple-double upside because he can dish the rock, also rebound very well, and can score and stroke it from deep as well. LaMelo Ball, if you feel like he can bounce back and not get himself into foul trouble, you could take a stab there, but he is still technically on that minutes limit and not supposed to be playing over, I want to say 35 minutes, but definitely a bounce back spot for LaMelo because we do know how fast-paced Houston can be. Outside of that, if you don't want to mess with LaMelo, Terry Rozier, I don't have any qualms in regards to just coming out here and paying for him instead, because we do know when LaMelo goes out there and just does what he does and doesn't do shit, then Terry's going to actually take over and Terry's going to do what he has to do. I definitely see the steal upside for Terry here in this position of spot, so I don't mind going to Terry as well. Outside of that, definitely take a look at Brandon Miller. He's played very well, especially whenever LaMelo gets himself into foul trouble. He comes in there, he's taking over, he's knocking down his shots. He looks very good in these last couple of games, so I don't mind taking a stab at him off the bench for 5,400. Wonder when they will actually go ahead and take Gordon Hayward, put him on the bench, and let the rookie slide into the starting lineup. That would be really interesting. But Brandon Miller, definitely worth a look. And then Jabari Smith Jr., looks like he's kind of getting his legs underneath him. Last game, 36 fantasy points in 34 minutes. Maybe he can keep that going here, going up against PJ Washington. Don't mind taking a stab at Jabari Smith at that 5.5 price tag. Might go a bit under owned, especially on such a big slate. But if you're trying to get some pieces from this game, I don't mind a stack of maybe Terry Rozier, running it back with a Jabari Smith Jr. and a Afroon Şengün or something like that. But definitely some pieces worth getting from this game, as it does has one of those higher totals on the slate. Chicago taking on Dallas. The three studs there in play. I would suggest in regards to whenever you're trying to figure out who do you want to play from the Bulls, look at the ownership for the three main guys. As last game, Vooch was the lowest owned out of all three of them, and Vooch was the one that popped off and had a really great game. So that would be my advice in regards to playing anyone from the Bulls. Yeah, he went off for 52 fantasy points. It was really great in that game going against Indy. So looking at it again, they're pretty much all priced right around the same price. Yes, they are playing different positions. Only Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, that dual eligibility, overlap in regards to their positions. But I would still just go ahead and take a stab at it. And they're all in play in this game going up against Dallas. Not a bad position spot for them. Definitely can possibly have their way if they actually get it going. I know they're trying to figure it out. If Zach LaVine was to miss, I definitely would want to get one of DeRozan or Vucevic, depending on which one. To me, again, I'm going to play the ownership game right there and just hope that the one on that pick has the better game than the other one. Kobe White, priced accordingly. Not really mess with that. Alex Caruso, unless he's starting, I'm not really going to mess with him either. Everyone else, not really must. Dallas, if Kyrie was to miss, Luka, I would find a way to go ahead and play Luka, especially in cash games. Just he has a safe floor. He's dropping 70. He's averaging 75.6 fantasy points for the season. No one else is doing that yet. So definitely Luka worth definitely in play. If Lively is going to start again, he only played 14 minutes in the last game. I wish they would just stop playing with his minutes and stuff. But outside that, it's just Luka over there. But if Kyrie plays, I'm not going to mess with Luka. There's no need to force that. Memphis taking on the Utah Jazz. Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., really great spot. Like I said, the Utah Jazz, their defense has been lackluster, lackadaisy. So definitely another spot we can target and attack with Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. They should be in position to go ahead and lead this team. With Derrick Rose being out, we could see, of course, those secure minutes for Marcus Smart, which I don't have any problem coming down to Marcus at that 6.5 price tag. Pretty safe in regards to the minutes that he's going to play and also the production that he's actually giving us out here on the slate. So definitely Marcus Smart in play. Outside of that, it's a toss-up and a stab if you want to mess with Tillman, Zaire Williams, John Conchar, David Roddy, all those guys. They're not must-plays, but if you land there, whatever. Mainly it's going to be Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. And if I actually had to pick between the two, looking at them, I would probably go with Jaren Jackson Jr. if I had to pick one of the two. Really, as long as he keeps himself out of foul trouble out there, has shown the other two games over 40 fantasy points. Another one of those positions where he could actually probably do that here in this position. Over here going up against on Utah side, Laurie Larkinen, main player I'd go to at 8-4. Of course, he should be leading this team. Walker Kessler finally had himself a game going up against the Denver Nuggets. 40 fantasy points out there going up against the champions. But outside of that, maybe I don't mind coming down here to Clarkson at 5-6, and then John Collins has played pretty decent in his last couple of games, dropping at least 30 fantasy points in all of his games, 5,500, a decent value mid-tier play if you land there. If you're looking for someone that has a safety-ish in regards to what they're going to go out there and produce and do for you, definitely do not mind taking a stab at John Collins. The Clippers taking on the Lakers. This game might be better just to watch versus trying to get plays from, but definitely some revenge from boy Westbrook. Going out here playing against them, looked very good last night, dishing the rock, playing some defense, actually going out there scoring 50% from the field. Beautiful. Didn't knock down none of his threes, but he looked good out there. Definitely happy for Westbrook this season. Don't mind taking a stab at him at the 7-1 price tag. We'll be drawing that D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves defense, and we know Russ. He's going to go out there, and if he's got a vendetta, I'll say this. If he's got a vendetta or something against you, he's going to go out there. He's going to try as hard as he's going to do his thing. I don't mind taking a stab at him if you want to get a piece from this as a late night hammer, but he is not a must, nor is anybody from this team a must. We know Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are going to play. Quote unquote, they are still technically shorthanded. We could see Bones Highland slide back into the starting lineup. I would take a stab at Bones if he's going to be in the starting lineup again. I don't mind doing that. But outside of that, none of these plays are technically must in this because they actually have played each other very well whenever the Lakers and Clippers have played. Anthony Davis, 9-8. I would prefer him over LeBron James in this position spot because he is going to mess with Zubac. Should be able to get him in foul trouble and possibly could have a banger of a game. Outside of that, D'Lo, Austin Reeves. Reeves, I will continue to take GPP stabs at because he hasn't had the game. He hasn't had the Austin Reeves, I'm Austin game yet. He's shooting very bad. Poorly out there for his standards in regards to what he goes in there and does. So again, another one where I will play the ownership game of who's going to be lower owned. If Austin is slated to be lower owned than D'Lo, I will take Austin over D'Lo. If D'Lo is slated to be lower owned than Austin, which D'Lo has played very well so far to start the season, I will take D'Lo over Austin. Especially for that Gabe Vincent is doubtful to play today. The minutes will be secure for D'Lo in the run that he should actually go out there and get. Same thing should be said for Austin Reeves. So both of these guys definitely in position to see decent run going up against the Clippers. And if you look at it last night, Jalen Suggs played very well. That's kind of why I'm pretty high on Austin Reeves. Playing at the shooting guard position, played very well going up against them. But before he got himself in the foul trouble and before the game got out of hand, looked pretty good. I definitely thought this could possibly be that bounce back spot for Austin to actually come out here and show, I'm him again. Outside of that, the Clippers, the Kings taking on the Golden State Warriors. If I take anything from this game, Sabonis, of course, not smash spot, but a spot where we could see Sabonis have to take on a little bit more. Definitely could get his assists back up like what he has done in season past. With Fox being out, we will see Davion Mitchell start, but in his starts last season, he played putridly. So I think that's going to lead to him having much lower ownership than what he possibly should. He could go out here and smash, but I will be with the field on this one in fading Davion Mitchell just because he has burned me in the past in regards to whenever I run and rostered him. If I take anything from Golden State Warriors, you can always pay up for Curry. Curry, of course, is going to go out there and he do what he does. Scoring very well over these last couple games. 27, 41, 24, 42 points. Knocking it down from three as always. If they have his three-point attempts sitting at like 8.5, 9, or something like that, it's worth a stab, especially in like a 6 flex or a 5 flex worth a play. And then Chris Paul, the same thing with his assist. Definitely a spot where we could see it running up and down with if they have an assist at like 6.57. I wouldn't mind taking the over on that as well as another play. Outside of that, nobody is necessarily a must. The only other player I would take a stab at on the Kings side, that would be Keegan Murray. This should be a game where we actually see him go out here and have to show it. He should be second fiddle behind Sabonis in regards to having to score and help lead this team. All right, guys, that's going to be a breakdown. Of course, I really think I did pretty good keeping it down to the actual breakdown itself, maybe about 20-ish minutes. So hopefully you guys got something. Remember, like what I said, if you guys are trying to sign up and you want to see what we're all about, check the link down in the description below so you guys can go ahead and join the Dub Club. You get your first month for free. Not sure how long that promo is going to run, so definitely try to go ahead and get in there while you can. Hopefully you guys get some nuggets from this right here. Hit the subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on the video. Peace.